This video is for visual art and technology, and I'm going to go over how to create what we call a mashup, where you're combining words and images together, with the goal being that you're thinking about how to integrate a typed word in Illustrator into a photograph that you've already edited in BeFunky. The word can be integrated into the positive space, which is the thing, or the negative space, which is the not the thing, the background. And the word can simply obviously state what's happening, like depth, or maybe because you took a depth of field picture or a framing picture, or a light and shadow, or it's like looking up or looking down, or make up a word like divide, or you can create something with meaning, like this empty cup implying that you're drowsy. That's completely your choice. But what you're going to do is open Illustrator and start with a new file. And each of these file sizes are going to be the same, 4x6 or 6x4, depending on the layout of your photo. So you're going to title it, mash it. Now, if you know what the word is, like if you know it's drowsy, type it. If you don't, mash it 1, 2, 3, whatever. Inches for your dimensions, and 6x4 is what I have students start with, which is a horizontal design. Unless you know your photo is vertical, then you can flip it. So that's up to you. Maybe you know it now, maybe you don't. You are going to file, place your photo in, and your photo is going to come from your drive. You should have your scavenger hunt pictures all ready to go in some sort of folder. Remember, if you need to edit them, you're going to edit it first in BeFunky and save it into that folder. You cannot edit once it's in Illustrator. So you can go ahead and get the image in here. You can click and drag to place it in. If the photo doesn't take up all of your white space, that's okay. Before we adjust the white space, though, what I'm going to have you do to get rid of this blue X is go over here to the Embed button and click Embed. Blue X disappears and your photo is inside your file. Now to change that white space, or maybe you want to stretch the photo tall instead of wide, you go to this Artboard button. You've got anchor points that you can drag in to fit snug around the photo, or you can adjust them to add more space if need be. Or if you want to even crop the photo more and you just don't want the bottom part of the photo, you can do that too. That's totally your call. So I don't care if it's tall, wide, or square. That's your choice. Back to the black arrow so that we're done with artboards. You're going to go to your T tool and you're going to type whatever word you want to have integrated into your photo. Black arrow allows you to hold down Shift and increase the size of your word. Now what I would do first if I were you, because you don't want to, create outlines and then go pick your font, because you can't do that. You're going to pick your font first. The typeface, as I mentioned in class, should be something interesting, but you don't want it to be so, like this, where you can't read it very well, or something with so much personality, like curl, like this, too much going on. You're not going to be able to read that on your photo, because the goal is to integrate your word into your photo. So choose something that you think is interesting looking. Maybe it mimics the shape or designs that are in your photo. Whatever it is, that's up to you. Then you're going to right-click, Create Outlines. Now remember, with this creating outlines, it allows you to isolate. It allows you to change the size of your word. It allows you to do all those things that we learned in class the other day. You can add drippy marks if you want to do something like that. You can change the dimensions of the letters. You can flatten them. You can take away the inside there's all kinds of things you can do. Let's do that right now. I'm going to isolate my O, and I'm going to double click again to get the inside and delete it. I would like to kind of take out these insides of these letters. Double click again, click to select and delete. Why not, right? It's shadows. So that's an example of isolation mode. Now you get this one big box that you can rotate, you can stretch, you can make it bigger or smaller. I'm trying to integrate my shadows along this edge of this wooden, cement ledge here. So I'm going to use the tool we learned yesterday, which is the Free Transform tool, which is living underneath this pin button. So Puppet Warp looks like a pin. You're going to go to Free Transform. I think I'm going to do this, because I'm going to do this back in perspective. So I'm going to click on this button, and I'm going to pull the bottom to line up my angles like they're going back into space. So it might take some Control-Zing and some adjustments. to see if eventually I can fit that in there. And as you can see, I'm having some trouble. So I would need to play with this for a while. I'm still in no, actually I'm not in isolation mode, but that's okay. I don't need to be because I'm doing the whole word at once. If I wanted to do one letter at a time, I'd be in isolation mode. Let's just pretend that I've got this perfect, because I really don't, but that's okay. I am going to go back to my black arrow, and now I'm going to think about color. So I don't want to leave it black. It's too intense, plus black is boring. So I'm not going to go to my fill buttons. These are ugly colors. They're not going to work. What I'm going to do is go to my eyedropper tool and start to pull colors out of what's happening here in the background. So I could maybe choose like a shade darker than the shadow that it's overlapping so that it kind of blends lightly into the background, kind of like that. And maybe I want to go over to opacity, and I'm going to lower my opacity down so I can fit it through even more. Maybe I want to go here in opacity and play with blend modes and see if I can come up with something that looks even better. If not, no big deal, but I might. So basically, you are just going to continue to play with your text until it looks like it's integrated into the photo. You can put your image on your positive space or in your negative space. I didn't really have any negative space in this photo. But your goal is to make the word look like and represent more of what's going on in the photo. When you're done, you're going to file, save as. I'm going to put it in my VAT folder. I made a folder for Mash It. I'm going to change that 1 to the word because I want to. I'm going to save it as an Illustrator file so that I can find it. And then if you want to today, I'll go over this in class when I come back, but if you want to, you can go to File, Export, Export As, and save it as a JPEG, but you're going to need to make sure you choose Use Artboard. So anything outside of the artboard gets cropped out and wiped out. JPEG, and I hit OK. And that's how you're going to make the Mash It. Required for fall of 2018 are 3 of these using your scavenger hunt photos. Good luck.